What is going on, guys? Elliot Burton here, and today I'm talking about 5 reasons that you're not making any progress with your training and fitness goals. Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that are overlooked when it comes to training, especially at the beginning. And I feel like I want to give you guys some tips that I wish I had when I first started training. Things not to do and things to implement more of, just so that you can ensure that you're putting yourself in the optimal position to make progress. So I know it can be so frustrating when you're not making any progress, even though you feel like you're putting the work in, and it can be a few simple things that need to be changed or adapted to ensure that you can move forward. So without further ado, let's jump straight into the video. So my first reason is pretty simple. It's you're not putting enough work in. If you're not leaving the gym feeling like you have actually worked your hardest, then you shouldn't be confused if you're not making any progress or you're not progressing at the speed that you want to progress. At the end of the day, if you've got more left in the tank, then you should be giving it before you start worrying about why you're not making progress. So yeah, working hard enough. I mean, the amount of times I go to the gym and I see other people sort of floating about, they'll do a few sets on this machine and that machine, and they'll walk out looking like they did when they walked in. If you look like you've put a lot of work in, then chances are you have, and I think it's important that you really know within yourself how hard you've worked during your sessions. Now, there are other points that I'll lead on to after this which will coincide with working hard. However, the basis of progression is being able to put the work in and actually understanding that if you want something bad enough, then you've got to work for it. Nothing in life worth having comes easy, and I think this is one of them. I think if you want to make progress and you want it bad enough, then you know what to do. So yeah, that is my first reason: you're not working hard enough. Reason number 2 is you're not thinking about nutrition, and this is something that I wish I had done when I first started. Like, I didn't focus on nutrition or think about nutrition for the first 4 or 5 years of training, which is ridiculous. And then that's partly because genetically I've been quite lucky and I was still making progress, and I was happy with how I looked without worrying about nutrition. But with that being said, like, if I'd actually had my nutrition down from day one, I would have made so much more progress, like ridiculous amounts more. And I think that is something that I wish I'd focused on at the beginning, because obviously now I the last sort of like 4 years or so, my nutrition has been completely dialed in. But if I didn't at the start, like, I would be so much further along the line. However, it's all good, it's all part of the process, and I think that's why it's good that now I can give you this information and kind of give you pointers and things that you should look out for and implement into your regime. So yeah, make sure your nutrition is on point and make sure it's aligned with your goals. So if you're trying to lose fat or you're trying to lose weight, then obviously you need to be in a deficit, and if you're trying to put on weight, i.e. you want to put on muscle, then you need to be in a surplus. Everyone's got different genetics, everyone's got different body types, so we all respond differently to different foods. And I think it's really important that you put the time into understanding kind of what your body type is and what is required with that body type in mind to achieve your goals. So there's a little trial and error there. For me, it wasn't like I just did the research and then boom, I knew exactly what to do. It was like, it's been a learning curve. It's been about putting the time and kind of working out what works best for me, both mentally and physically, because obviously it's also something that you've got to be able to sustain. So you've got to try and figure out what it is that you need versus what it is that you like, so that you can kind of create a balance of solid nutrition that you're going to be able to sustain long term. So that is my second reason you're not focusing on nutrition. So if you're not, go do your research and figure out what your body needs to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. So yeah, that's point 2. So my third reason is that you're not structuring your workouts. You're not putting any time into planning your weeks and planning your split so that it is optimal for you. I see so many people who go to the gym and they just do random stuff like I was saying earlier. But if you've got specific goals and you've got things you want to achieve, you've got to make sure you're doing the right things. So yeah, make sure you structure your workouts, you plan, you do the research, actually put time into understanding what it is that your goal requires for you to get there. Like, it's so important. The same with the nutrition. You need to put the time into researching. If you're not willing to put time into research and understanding kind of what is required, you obviously don't want it bad enough. So I think it's really important across the board that you are willing to invest time into understanding your goals in depth, so that you can literally make sure that you are in the optimal position to achieve your goals. Use the abundance of resources available online so that you can create your own program. You can figure out the structure that you need to your workouts to achieve your goals. Otherwise, you're going to be doing random stuff, and you could be putting 100% into that, but if it's not geared the right way and you're not doing the right things, then you're going to be disappointed when you've put a lot of work in but done it in the wrong way. Yeah, so make sure you do your research and you structure your workouts. It's really important that you are willing to invest that time into making sure you are on the right path. My fourth reason is you're overcomplicating things. You're looking at fancy exercises and all these different movements that can like help you with your gains, but you're overlooking the fundamentals, the basics, the essentials when it comes to lifting, comes to your training. I think it's so important that you just focus on getting the fundamentals right. Make sure you're performing the exercises correctly, you're using the right weight, and you're not just mimicking what other people do. It's so important. Once you're getting the fundamentals right and you're doing that consistently, then you can think about throwing in a few different exercises from time to time to ensure that kind of you mentally stay locked in and you're enjoying your workouts. Obviously, doing the same workout every single time is boring, so I do recommend kind of rotating a few exercises each time. However, always get the fundamentals in, get the basics right. Do you mean like with chest? Get your bench presses in, your dumbbell press, your flies as an accessory movement. Stick to the basics, don't overcomplicate it, and you will see progress if you're doing that correctly. Like, so many people try and do all these crazy exercises, but why would you waste your time doing all that if you're not getting the fundamentals right? So yeah, don't overcomplicate things. There's no need to. Just get the basics right, and if you're consistent, you'll make progress. Yeah, don't overcomplicate it. Right, my fifth and final reason that you're not making any progress is you're not adapting your workouts to match your progression. So what I mean by this is you might start out on week 1 and you're performing this workout and you really struggle with it. So you keep doing that, and gradually you sort of get it, and gradually it gets easier and easier, which is great, you're making progress. However, if you don't increase the resistance or increase the difficulty of that workout as you begin to progress, as it becomes easier and easier, it's having less and less impact on your progression until eventually you won't make any progress doing it. So it's really important that you are adapting your workouts to match your progression. Otherwise you're going to end up plateauing and not moving forwards until you do increase the difficulty. Because what happens is your central nervous system will start off and being like, whoa, what is this? And that's when it begins to adapt so that it can get used to that strain on the body and deal with it. That's essentially what's happening. However, over time, obviously the body's adapting and you're getting more and more used to it. And then eventually it's just like, well, it's like, what? I can deal with this, it's easy. You've done this for the last 6 weeks, like what's next kind of thing. And I think it's so important that you understand that you want to be implementing progressive overload from the get-go. You really want to be pushing yourself every single session. You don't want things to be getting easy. And if you're implementing progressive overload, gradually you're going to progress. And yeah, things will slow down and it won't always be as quick as the progress you see at the beginning. However, I think it's really important that you guys are implementing that from day 1 so that you can maximize on those newbie gains that you're going to get and put yourself in a position where you're mentally locked in and you understand kind of what you should be doing each time to ensure maximum progress is made. Because at the end of the day, it is really shit if you're not making progress and you feel like you're putting the work in. And I think it's just really important that you focus on continually pushing yourself and putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, because it's in those situations, in those scenarios, that you're going to get the outcomes that you want. Do you know what I mean? Like, as I said earlier, nothing worth having comes for free and nothing worth having comes without hard work. And I think that is so important that you guys kind of have that mentality from day 1. Rather than trying to make it easier each week, i.e. just not increasing the resistance or increasing the difficulty so it's easier for you, why don't you try and match that week 1 difficulty every single time? So whatever that requires, whether that's adding an extra 5 kg onto your bench press or adding an extra like 1 kg to your squat, whatever it is, just ensuring that you're constantly trying to see where you can improve and see where you can kind of push yourself a little bit further. But yeah guys, that is it. That is all I wanted to say. Those are the 5 reasons that I think that you might not be making progress. If you think that you're doing all those things and you're still not making any progress, drop me a comment below and let me know your situation, and I'll be happy to give you some help or advice where I can. And yeah, if you've got any suggestions or anything that you want to see from my channel moving forwards, again, make sure you drop it down below. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video guys. If you have, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks guys. Every day patches the night up. Oh God, you should match it, it's that KO. No, I light it, still I fuck my 28 up.